So I thought we'd get together and we'd discuss the 2016 Game of the Year contender.
Absolutely.
I guess, Stardew Valley. So, guys, this is just going to be like a 10-15 minute video of us talking about Stardew. Kind of a review, not really. People get really upset when you call things reviews and then they disagree with you, so it's not really a review. It's
I don't know about that.
It's
I think they love it.
I think so too. It's a I think this happens a lot in the board game world where there's a certain thing. It happens on videos too. Video game YouTubers too, where you never signed up to be a reviewer, but if you get big enough, people expect you to stick to the ethics of journalism. Does that make sense?
Right. All of a sudden you become a journalist and you have to adhere to some code of ethics, but you're not changed at all. You're just some guy talking about video games.
Right.
So it's
if you're doing it for your own personal benefit, maybe you're making money off it, but at that point it's just an opinion piece. So it's kind of a weird nether zone. But anyway,
I think as long as you disclose that you've been given a game or something like that, or that you have a relationship with publishers or something like that, that's all people really want from you. I think as far as ethics goes as a blogger.
Yeah.
But I think as long as you make that apparent, that's the only time they'd have a problem, I think. But
well, I bought
it
Stardew Valley, so I'm entitled to every
there you
single
go.
opinion. No, it's so
you can hate it.
Let's talk about Stardew, which came out a month ago, maybe something like that. It's like $15 on Steam. Did you ever play the Harvest Moon games?
I played, yes. I didn't play the original one. I played one of the later ones, probably for GameCube. But I absolutely loved it. I really wanted, as Harvest Moon was the first game as a kid I really wanted and couldn't afford to buy. I think is the thing. It was the very first SNES one. It was $70, and every single time I wanted to buy it, it would never come down in price. Never given away for used anywhere because everyone loved it and kept it. It's I never bought this game because I missed it. I missed it altogether. And I was so excited for it too when I saw it in my Nintendo Power magazine or whatever.
Yeah.
I was so excited for this game and I never got to play it actually.
I think the first
But then I got to play the later ones for sure.
Yeah, the first one I played I think was the 64 version. Harvest Moon. I think it was Harvest Moon 64. It was at a friend's house. I think I put he had this little tiny TV and I plugged the 64 into it. Everyone else was doing something else and I played Harvest Moon for 8 hours straight. And which is funny now, just going back, that game is probably as simple as you could possibly imagine. I just remember harvesting turnips or whatever the hell it was.
Oh yeah, absolutely. This is good fun. I remember in the GameCube one, it has kind of the same thing where you can level up your watering can so it does a bigger, wider area.
Yep.
I don't know where you want to take this, but can I ask you a question? Why hasn't Harvest Moon been copied before? This seems such a good idea. Why didn't anybody do this before?
That's true. I don't understand why. It feels like a kind of a genre. Well, I wonder about that. You know how Binding of Isaac has kind of had it's the king of its current genre of this sort of randomly generated twin stick shooter type thing.
Sure.
These games, I feel like maybe it's harder to make them different from Harvest Moon, and it's just this one's succeeding just because it's basically Harvest Moon advanced, but...
That's it, yeah. That's what I was going to say. This is not different from Harvest Moon. It's almost the exact same thing. It added in combat, I think, is the biggest thing. I'm not even convinced that Harvest Moon didn't have some form of that before.
Yeah, you take your anger on enemy rock attacks. I think it's just been... It's been long enough where people are willing to accept it. It's almost like the Rock Band thing, which they mistimed.
Sure.
It was not long enough, obviously.
Yeah,
but
no, it's probably never going to be long enough, to be honest.
It's so sad. I need to do a blog video about how sad that's the saddest video game turn events. But for this one, I feel no one tried to make a copy because you can't really do the system differently. If you did, it would become a totally different game. It would become more of you'd have to just get more advanced about it, and I don't think that's what people enjoy in this.
Yeah. The systems are not too complex here or anything like that. I thought even Harvest Moon had more complex systems than this does even.
Yeah.
But I'm just wondering, the more I play this, I'm first of all, I'm excited for people to actually copy Stardew Valley now, because I think that will happen, and I'm excited for more games like this to come out as just making the genre bigger. But my thought was just why hasn't anybody? And this is one guy too. We should mention
that's the most impressive.
Stardew Valley. This is one guy that made this over the course of 3 years here now. So it's pretty impressive. But a good publisher, good developer getting behind the idea of making a game like this, it could be done in a year. And I don't know why nobody ever wanted to copy Harvest Moon before.
Yeah, that's true. Now they're in the unfortunate position where they're just going to be. It's going to be seen as just a redo or just like
mind.
a copycat type thing.
I want to play more of this. I don't care. I don't care how they do it. Just make more of this.
You mentioned
from somebody. I'll play more of it.
You mentioned it was developed by one guy. It was, and the funny part is he's been super active on updating the game. So any problems I might have actually already been fixed at the time of this recording, or they're going to be fixed upcoming. So maybe my criticism won't last all that long. I really enjoy this game. I think the way you play it really affects your impact on how you view it.
I'd agree too. Yeah, for sure.
My here's my sort of my experience with the game. We both have 33 hours on Steam, I think, according to this morning.
Between my 2 saves on it, yeah, I think I got to 24 hours on the first save. I'm just entering winter for the first year.
Okay.
Right now, my 1 save.
I just finished winter, so I'm into the second spring. And for people who don't know, you go through the seasons as a little farmer who's inherited a plot of land, and you kind of have a free like sandbox type game where you can do a bunch of things like mining or fishing or farming or meeting the neighbors and all that stuff. And I think the game is 2 years, like the storyline of the game is 2 years, and you sort of get assessed at the end of the second year. And my general sense of it was I started off, I was like, oh, this is enjoyable. I have a ton of free time. My farm isn't very big, so I'll just do all this other stuff. After that, I kind of got worn down a little bit by it. I felt the game was too unfocused, and I don't like games that are extremely unfocused and don't sort of limit what I want to do. I then discovered the community center, which fixed that problem. And then I became almost so focused on accomplishing the community center that I got bored again. And then I started to freewheel where I just grow whatever the hell I want and don't really care, and then I'm back enjoying it again. So that's
like the 4 phases of Stardew Valley I think you're describing right now.
Yeah, that's kind of it. So what do you think about, like, how's your experience? You're doing a Let's Play, which everyone can click the link for.
So my Let's Play, I think it helped going in and as far as replayability and just general enjoyment of the game, play it as a role-playing game. Like, even though your character is just given this role of, it's your grandfather's farm, make your character a character, I would think. It's just a tip to, like, make the game more fun for you.
Yeah.
Like, say, okay, I'm going to be this guy. I'm going to play it a certain way. So I'm not going to get into animals, for instance. I don't like animals. I hate animals.
Right.
Or I only like doing pickling. So you're going to have to pickle everything. Like, okay, so that's going to be your guy. You're going to be the pickling guy. And that's going to actually increase your enjoyment of it because you can be more focused at the start, I think.
Yeah.
So, my character was at the beginning was a hobo. So he was just kind of all about foraging and only didn't really want to do any work around the farm. So my farm still is a mess. Like, I haven't cleaned off everything from it. I'm still almost a year in now.
I've been looking at your video. You don't have gravel like walkways between the fields.
Not doing it. Like, it doesn't like that's gonna be like the slow arc of the series if you watch it. It's gonna be like this hobo doesn't care, doesn't want to work, just quits his job and goes to live on a farm. It slowly gets taken over by business and agriculture, and like actually becomes this mogul businessman eventually.
Yep.
But that's the arc I'm working for in my mind, basically. He got the fedora now at the fall harvest here, and
nice.
So now he's starting, like, the unkempt hair is gonna be gone, and now he's like finally starting to like buckle down and plant a lot more and focus on the business now. He's given up his hobo ideals.
Yeah, the face.
And I think that was an advantage I had going into this, having a character in mind for it, actually playing it like a role play, and it helps at the start at least to get you some idea of what you should be doing, because there's just so much you can do in this game.
There is. And it's funny how similar a lot of what you do, like, it's all just like click on this thing. You know what I mean? Like,
that's all it is.
It's very, you click on things and you just click on various things. So, like, it's a credit to the game where it feels different enough, like, where mining feels totally different from just farming things.
It's just the exact same. Click this thing to water it, click this thing to mine it, get resources. Yeah, it's simple. It's simple.
The main, I also had it took me a long time. I realized that you must turn on the show indicate which tile you're clicking on.
You need that. That should be default.
And I still feel that the watering mechanic is too clunky. Maybe it's intentionally because it wants you to go to sprinklers to get all that stuff done, which
maybe.
Which is fine. This is my first year of having a fully sprinkled farm, so that's like it's a huge time saver. But it feels a little bit clunky. It also ties into another thing that the developer on the subreddit for this thing had mentioned. Someone came up with what I thought was a great idea, which is everyone's house in the village has a mailbox outside of it. How come I can't drop the quest items into their mailbox? And
that's a good idea.
The developer was like, well, I want some of the quest to be the difficulty in tracking down the people. And I sort of totally disagree because my least favorite part of this game is interacting with the villagers. I just don't do it. I hate it. I'm sure I get some huge benefit out of it, but I find it really tedious and nothing that I'm interested in doing.
Yeah. I totally agree. I think that tracking down the people is definitely like an all-day thing. Like your day's gone if you need to find somebody.
And how come Marnie, or I think that's her name, whoever runs sells the animals?
She's terrible.
She's never at her goddamn business to sell.
Do you know why that is though, right?
What does she do?
First of all, two things. First of all, a little spoiler: she has some type of relationship going on with the mayor.
Yes, you can see his pants in the.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
But also, she's always at the bar.
Oh, okay.
So it's like between those two things, there might be some subtle things, like she's an alcoholic that doesn't really like take her job too seriously, kind of thing. Maybe
I have been
loves animals, but not a good worker.
I've been unable to buy animals because she's never
there. She
place.
says, "Oh, show up between 9 and 5, and I'll be there." Like, no, you won't be. I've been trying to deliver this quest to you for days. I can't. You're never home. Yeah. So I agree.
I think I can understand the wanting to have this game design where you have to do these things. At the same time, some of it feels a little bit too tedious, and I don't want to do it after a certain point. Tracking down the villages to me is the way that it sticks out, mostly because it's not like the entrance to the mine moves every hour, and I have to go looking for it. Like I know where the mine is, and I don't see the benefit of interacting with them. It's too difficult to figure out what they like. You give them something and they're like, "Fuck you, I hate this," and it's like.
But you know what? I think at this point, like if you don't like that portion of it, just go to the wiki and find out what they like. You know what I mean? Like you can make this as easy or hard as you want it to be. If eventually you just figure out what they like and you'll just buy that same thing all the time. So spoiler: Leo likes salads. You can go buy a salad for her and she'll love it every single day, and or every single week, anyways. So, once you figure that out, one of my commenters gave it to me. That's how I figured that one out. But
that they like salads?
That she likes salads, yeah. So, you didn't take any much experimentation. I wouldn't have thought to go buy a salad and give it to her. So, everyone else is kind of experimentation, but I have that one person locked down now. So, it does become a process of finding her every single time is the problem. Like, every single week, I'm like, okay, it's Friday. I need to give her 2 gifts.
Yep.
And I haven't found her once. So, I don't know where she is in the fall. And so, I have to go find her now and waste my entire day doing that.
Yeah.
It's no good.
Yeah, and at a certain point early in the game, you almost have too much free time. You're like in bed by 2 because you've cut down all the wood and you're exhausted.
You also run out of energy pretty quickly too early in the game.
Yeah. And after that, even though my farm is still fully sprinkled, the days are now starting to. I'm racing back to bed at like 1:30 to try to get there before you pass out at 2 a.m.
It's a weird thing because I'm doing the Let's Play of it, so I can see how long a certain thing is taking me. So I can see, I was recording, at first I was doing 1 day per episode, and then I started doing 2 days per episode because I got more efficient and I could get through more time, and it was still like 30 minutes long and it'd be 2 days worth of content. But then now it's like, I do 2 days worth of content and it's like 40 to 50 minutes is 2 days because there's just so much I can do. Now that I know how you can pause it easily and get, think through your process while it's paused, not waste time, like, it's made the episodes a lot longer. And maybe it's just making me more efficient as far as, like, as your better tools and better, abilities, you get more efficient. So it could just be that I'm having less time spent watering and more time actually going to have fun, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's been interesting how, like, the episodes was, like, scaled up in length. I mean, I think by year 2, I'll be at, like, hour episodes per episode now. Like,
yeah.
That's a lot of content to ask somebody to watch, though, too, is the problem.
I'll have to see how you handle winter, because winter was another big problem for me in this game, where you can't plant crops. There are some crops that you can plant in winter, but they're basically the, like, foraging stuff that you find. Mm-hmm. So you don't have a lot of variety. And I ended up with a ton of ore because I would mine every single day. But you
can't afford to buy anything is the problem.
Right. By day, right, exactly. You're not building money. You have to tend to the animals, and then by day 23, I had enough, and I woke up and I went back to bed immediately, and I skipped to the end of winter.
That's true to life. That's how winter works for me in Wisconsin here. So
that was my one. I guess the thing to do is you get the kegs and you brew over the winter.
That's my plan right now.
I did not do that, so I didn't even really have that to do. It just it felt. I wish winter was an abbreviated season.
It should be like shorter days or something like that. Like it could have done something like make the time go faster in winter to simulate shorter days. Because that's something actual farmers would deal with.
Right.
Is the shorter work time.
Yep. And fishing.
And that's something
the other
you probably
thing you
could
can
add
fish.
in. Yeah, that's something I could add in or tweak maybe.
Did you like the fishing? It's kind of contentious. Some people like it, some people hate it.
I'm on the fishing on the pro fishing camp.
Pro fishing.
I wasn't sure at first about it, but as soon as I figured out the mini game, I could do that all day, every single day.
Yeah,
and I do. So
I don't know if there's a way. I got a bunch of lures, but none of them. One that I think is missing is you can catch multiple fish on one toss. Would be nice. I don't think they have that. I really wish they did add that. Because
you know what I did find though is a little secret of the game too is you look for those little little bubble spots.
Yeah.
I was catching fish I was casting, and into that bubble spot, and I caught a fish as soon as it hit the water. It would hit, and it was nonstop when I had the one spinner lure on there. So you can make it work.
There's another couple spots that they don't have bubbles, but if you cast in that area, you always catch a goldfish.
Oh.
Which is nice. So there's a couple of those, but at that point it's just money, and I don't use the fish for money. I use them to make the fertilizer, the advanced fertilizer.
Oh,
and you need a ton of fish to keep up with that. So it's really sort of tedious to spend all day fishing.
That's true.
I wish I could just catch multiple fish at one time. That would save me a lot of hassle.
Yeah, that's true.
Outside of that, the only other thing that I could really think of was just that to keep me a little bit more invested, I was wondering if the game kept a rudimentary market where supply and demand mattered, because I think at any point in the game you always get the same amount of money for an item.
Seems that way.
So what people do is, if you're really obsessed with min-maxing, it's basically you grow cranberries.
Right.
Because they get the most money and they regrow, and you can get multiple ones.
And they can
in
get
harvest.
multiple per harvest. Yeah.
Yep.
They take forever though.
They do, but once you get the greenhouse, I guess you just do that. But
yeah.
The other thing that seems disadvantageous is that animals are more trouble than they're worth, which is too bad, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
You don't get the money out of animals for the amount of effort that you have to put into feeding them and maintaining them and things like that.
Yeah, that's true. I think it comes down to if you're doing the social questing and that kind of thing. If you're trying to find things people like, a lot of it's you get better foods generally people always like.
Yep.
So if you have cooked meals, but the thing I don't think matters is how good the cooked meal is, of how much they like it.
Yep.
But that's one thing I think if you don't care about the social interactions and the questing and that kind of thing, then cooking doesn't matter too much.
Yes, cooking does
not. But you can also buy milk from the store if you wanted to, so it doesn't really necessarily need to have animals.
Yep.
For the occasional time to cook.
That's true. Just to whip up some. I've never done advanced cooking, the stuff that gives you +3 mining or anything like that. I've never had the need to.
I'll try that pretty soon, I think. But yeah,
I do think a recommendation for people now that I mentioned +3 mining, get to the bottom of the mine as quickly as possible. It might be tedious as hell, but it is well worth it to get down there as soon as possible. The other thing, I guess it is just sort of to wrap this up. The way that you play it is just important, just because I understand if you're going for a role-playing thing, you want a lot of variety. I'm at a point now where I just desperately want money because I have more sprinklers and farmland than I have money to buy seeds. So I'm in this place where half my farm is not being used, and I'm having a real hard time generating funds. Which is kind of annoying. I wish... And the min-maxing part of me doesn't want to be just grow cauliflower endlessly.
Well, sell off some of your ore.
But I love I've mined all that ore.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's a tough trade.
You gotta be willing to sell off the ore, and then you'll be rolling in money.
And I also I have these great chickens, and the money they offer me for the chickens is laughable. It's this is not enough money. I need more money for my chickens.
So much work put into these chickens.
Yeah, I don't want to min-max, but I think my brain towards this kind of game wants me to, where I'm just I just need money.
I was gonna say I'd like to see more things to keep you interested of having the fair style thing that they do in the fall.
Yep.
But have it for animals maybe.
Yes.
And so you'd have a reason to get those upgraded and make them nice, and that's something you could add to down the road too, I think. But something like that might help.
Yeah, it's funny. The fairs are a tough balancing act because whenever they pop up, I'm like, I don't want to do this. But then, after they're done, I was like, that was kind of worth it. Especially if you win the events that are at every fair.
Yeah, it's always fun.
It's a good time. But yeah, it's I think it's definitely one of the top games so far of the year. I think XCOM 2 is probably would be a game of the year contender ahead of it. It's very early, so it's stupid to say that. But I mean, I think. For what this game is kind of remarkable, and that it's just been so simple, yet it's eaten up 35 hours of my time.
Mm-hmm.
And for all the complaints I have, I still enjoy doing it, like playing the game. So it's not really complaints as much as optimization, that there's a balancing act about how easy you want things to be and how much you want the day to actually represent a day of you having to track down things.
Yeah, I agree.
Any final thoughts? Anything anything you're looking forward to in your second year? How's that? How are you going to play your second year, knowing what you've learned in the first year?
I'm gonna do a lot more sprinklers, like you say, but then also I'm gonna have to be willing to, like I said, sell off ore and stuff to keep the money going, because there is an issue. Like you can get quality sprinklers, have all of your stuff automated, but you're gonna run out of money as far as it comes to that. Waiting around for stuff to grow is always the issue for a farmer. So
yeah, it's a perspective thing. Like I laid out my farm and I bought seeds. I was like, 50 seeds will easily be enough. You put down 50 seeds and it's a tiny section of the screen.
Yeah,
it's just
it takes 8 days to grow, and it's like, oh.
Yep. Yeah. And then the crows come and eat the seeds anyway. But that's it. Life of a farmer, Stardew Valley. Well, Modi, thank you very much for talking about it.
No problem.
With me. I'm going to check back in maybe towards the end of the year. It's probably going to be a Game of the Year contender, so I have to keep it on.
I think so.
On fresh.
I think so.
It's only $15 on Steam. Well worth it. The developer is very active, fixing things every single day. Things are changing. Stardew Valley. Thanks, guys, for watching. If you enjoyed the content, hit that like button. Helps me out a great deal. Check out Modi's Let's Play of Stardew Valley. He's up to like episode 40 or something at the time of this 40 something at the time of this recording.
Ridiculous.
So, Game of the Year contender in early April as we record this. Stardew Valley. See ya.